Hello and welcome back to the Spinning Barn. Now today I thought we would talk about rewinding our bobbins onto a different bobbin and why you would even want to do that. Now, one of the main reasons I think is that it can actually help to free up your bobbins if you don't have enough bobbins for your wheel, particularly if you've got a large project in mind as well and you need to spin a large quantity. Then it's helpful if you can store onto storage bobbins to free up your bobbins to actually spin onto. The other reason, and what I think is probably the main reason, is that it really does help to even out any inconsistencies. Now, looking at this on this bobbin, I think it looks, it looks okay. I think I've spun that sort of okay. But it's actually quite interesting when you actually start to rewind it, just to highlight if there are actually any inconsistencies, because I don't think there's that many. Not that perfect, but I don't think there's that many in terms of twist. I don't think there's too much over twist, but it can highlight if there is over twist and help to even that twist out. Because if you think about it, the twist is it's energy, isn't it? And that energy wants to just keep moving. So the longer distance that you give it to move within, if you like, the more even that twist is going to be distributed over this whole length of your yarn. It'll also show you if there are any weak spots, anything that you might want to take out or be aware of in some way, depending on what you're going to be doing with it. So what I'm going to do is show you how I actually do this on my spinning wheel, because most people I know, most spinners I know, don't actually have anything for rewinding their bobbins. So if your wheel, let me show you, if I come down here a little bit, if your wheel works in, whoops, single or double drive, particularly if it's in double drive. Now, this particular wheel, the Kromsky Symphony, does single or double. It's set up as single at the moment. But if this was a double band, all I would need to do would be to move the two bands. One would be here on the whirl and one would be on the bobbin whirl. I would move both of those onto the bobbin whirl. That would just allow the bobbin itself to rotate and not the flyer as well. Okay, so for this purpose, all I'm going to do is move my single drive from the flyer whirl onto the bobbin whirl here. So as I turn the wheel, can you see where the bobbin is rotating, but the flyer isn't? And that's exactly what we want. Now, the only reason this works is because the drive band is still in a straight line to my bobbin groove here. Okay, if on some wheels, obviously that won't work, because if this is out of line as you turn the wheel, it's going to just, the drive band is going to just fall off. Now, obviously, let me just put this camera back up again. I have to point out to you that I'm not telling you to do this, but it is an option, okay? If it works on your wheel, that's fine. But obviously, please don't use your wheel in a way that it was not designed to be used. That can invalidate your insurance, obviously, as is the way in this world. But a quick look at this one will tell me that that is perfectly straight. That's my decision, and that is what I'm going to do, okay? So I'm also going to release the brake band. We don't need that in the way there either. And I'm just going to put my bobbin onto my lazy Kate that I've got to the side here. Now, for the purposes of this video, I need it quite close to me actually, but I'm going to push it as far away as possible so that you can still see it in shot there. If I was doing this for real, actually, I'd probably take that even further. Again, so that that twist can just be redistributed over a longer length. Right, I'm going to just tie this end on. Sometimes you can just wrap this end around the bobbin, but my bobbins are really quite shiny and slippery, so I'm just going to try a little knot there. Right, let's see if this works. So all we're going to do is turn the wheel. Okay, let's make sure it's going first. It is. Let me get my feet on my treadles. Okay, now then, all you need to do is slowly move this backwards and forwards. And I can actually feel that although I thought this yarn was really quite consistent in terms of its twist, every now and again I've just felt a couple of little lumps and bumps going through there. I don't know if you can, I'm just trying to look here. Can you see a little pigtaily bit here? Now, I wouldn't be happy with that really. So this really is going to help to smooth out those inconsistencies. I can also feel the overall consistency thickness wise of my yarn as well. There are a couple of iffy bits, I would have to say. And yeah, I did spin this one quite quickly earlier just for doing this demonstration today, actually. But it's quite interesting. It makes you feel much more aware of what you've actually spun, which is never a bad thing, is it? Because sometimes we just sit and we just spin and hope for the best. But anything I think that really highlights all the good bits, but all the maybe not quite so good bits, I think that helps us to become better spinners. It makes us a little bit more focused, I think. And it's always just those little points, isn't it, that make such a big difference. So this is also going to really help when we come to ply as well. So if I had two bobbins already spun and I've rewound them, it's going to make them much more relaxed by removing this little twist, making for a much more even and more comfortable yarn to spin. And it's also important now obviously there's another debate, and I'm just coming to the end here. Just 2 seconds, let me finish this and I'll look at you and tell you. There's also another debate about the direction in which we should spin our fibres. That's a whole other thing. But very generally, if you think about it, the scales on sheep's wool lie a certain direction. If we spin them in one direction, we will smooth those scales. If we spin them the opposite direction, we will slightly lift those scales and make a slightly less smooth yarn. So if that is a consideration, it's also worth thinking about rewinding your bobbins, because I am now back to the beginning of where I started my spin. So if for me, for example, I had decided that I needed to spin a particular yarn from the tip, and this was the tip, well then I need the tip to go back in first when I ply as well. So that's another little reason, something else to think about. But that's all there is to it, and that looks really smooth. And yeah, I was surprised actually at just how inconsistent it actually was. Yeah, see, we all do it, don't we? So give that a go, see if that's something that you can try. And of course, always, as always, just let me know how you get on. See if that little tip might help you as well, just to help to make your yarns, your overall finished yarns, that little bit more consistent and easy and more enjoyable to work with. It does seem like another, perhaps unnecessary little step, but actually the difference can be quite staggering sometimes. So trust me and give it a go. All right, let me know how you get on. See you soon. Bye.